Hey, everyone. Hold on for a second. Get this thing set up. Forgot to put the automatic notification on for me. Hey, Randy, Clay, Richard. Let's see. And the link is in, everyone. Here comes Mr. Tom. Hey, Tom.
Early.
Hey, Bill.
Yeah.
Hey, Charlie, how's it going?
Hi.
How's it going?
Well, we had a little bit of a dusting of snow this morning when I woke up.
Yeah.
All that, but that's all been melted away. Hey,
Oh,
Todd. Sandy. All that. So it was quite comfortable today, I'll say, compared to the rest of the week. As far
It's
as
supposed to be 51 tomorrow.
51,
44 and sunny today.
it might be in the 40s and rain tomorrow, I think, here.
Yeah,
Hey, Bill.
we're supposed to get rain tonight. I went checked all my hives and fed them all funded today.
What did you
Yeah.
find? Did they eat any of it or what?
Oh yeah, they're going down my food fat. Some of them were like gone. 6 pounds of sugar brick, plus all the honey they had gone.
It's
Well, now-
cold.
My question is did they eat the honey and there's nothing else besides, or did they go after the good stuff first?
When they're in singles, they ate all the honey if they're on top.
All right, so everything in singles was gone.
Yep.
Okay. And all that.
My doubles were on top, but it looked like the frames were pretty empty. I mean, I only opened them up, put the patties in, and closed them back up, or put the fondant in. So I didn't really check them.
Yeah. Hey, Jeremy. He's out there in Texas.
Yeah, we're treating tomorrow and feeding tomorrow.
And I might
I don't-
vapor them tomorrow.
Let's see what's
depending on the rain.
supposed to be for me. Supposed to hit 40.
We're supposed to rain's supposed to end tomorrow morning, and then the ceiling drops out, and the high the next 3 days is like 14 degrees.
It's 29 degrees right now.
We got 44 right now. It's warm.
Yeah, we
And in
got
2 days,
29.
and by Sunday morning it will be 0 degrees.
Hey, Kimberly.
Yeah, they're
Hey,
calling for
Kimberly.
0 here on Monday, Tom.
Yeah, I'm
Monday,
just a day ahead of you.
Tuesday, and Wednesday's supposed to be 3 degrees in the morning.
Yeah, you're getting the same weather, just a day later.
Yep.
And then next week it's supposed to be in what, in the teens and single digits or whatever.
Yep.
Yeah, high single to low teens. I hope that's the end of it. That'll be the end of January about. Should get a little bit better in February. I did lose couple of my small nukes. That doesn't surprise me with this cold weather.
So you're off tonight, Phil? 33 mile bees. Hey, Lee. Yeah, I don't know. I went out a couple days ago at about 5:30 in the evening when the sun was kind of going down behind the barn, and I got my infrared camera out again to see whether or not I could see a much better picture of heat signature, being the box wasn't warm. And I don't know. I changed the color pad template to where it's like a black and white type thing, but you could kind of see a discolorization, on the sides of the box.
Yeah.
And it looks like I don't know, I got a 10 frame. It doesn't see the whole, of course, it's wrapped on the outer edges, which that thing won't penetrate. But looks like I need to look into that one. I did have a nuke there that didn't really have much of a heat signature, but I did look into that one, and I took the top food or honey box off, the one medium, and got down there, and I seen bees. I didn't really investigate because it was 40 some degrees, but not overly 40. 42, 43. I just looked. I said, well, we got bees in here. Just put it all back together and be done with it.
Yeah.
And all that. And then the other big hive, I need to really take a picture of it and mark it, with a brick or something like that. And actually go into it if there's any decent weather tomorrow, maybe. But
You should have good
usually I
weather
go out there
tomorrow.
if it's warm and out there flying, so you kind of know what's going on.
My bees weren't flying yet. They're still balled up when I popped the lids at
Mm.
40. It was probably 42 degrees out, 43 maybe.
And they're at the top of the hives or what?
Yeah, mostly the top, about all of them.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of my heat signatures where they're either down low or in the middle of the medium, 3 medium
That's
box.
good.
But I had one there, I opened it up. I pulled the little wood off the top of the inner cover hole. They were kind of trying to boil out of there. But one thing I did notice by opening them up, like one here and one there, I didn't have any, because of the insulation, there wasn't any condensation issues, stuff like that.
I didn't see any condensation. I had one hive that was at the very bottom still, which kind of surprised me. And I had one couple in the middle, but most of them were on the top out of the 29 hives.
Right. But
I'll be interesting to check my notes on the one that was on the bottom. I know which hive that is because I took most of the honey in July and there wasn't much flow after that, and I didn't feed them as much as I wanted because I had my knee replacement, so I couldn't get out there to fill the buckets up when they got empty.
mm,
So they found some nectar somewhere.
Well, that's good.
In fact,
Well-
I cracked I had them in a double and I cracked the box thinking that the hive was a dead out. Yeah, they were right there. I said, oh no, they're there.
so Clay Bunner, where are you located at? Down in the south?
He's in Virginia,
Oh, okay.
around Lynchburg.
Yeah.
Okay.
He was in my store the other day.
Well, they know.
Yeah. Had a really good, interesting conversation with him.
Oh, that's my buddy on the other side of 29 down there, I think it is.
Yeah. Yep, that's where he's at.
Yeah. We talked quite a bit down at Nobby.
So I got a very interesting question, if anybody can tell me. The honey warmer or the wine cabinet that Philco's got, is it adjustable on the heat side or just on the cooling side?
No, I don't know much about
He
it.
made a comment that it's both heating and cooling, but the cooling wasn't real good. It wasn't cooling as like he wanted to, and he was making adjustments so it'd be a better cooler also.
Well, I'm not worried about the
Um,
cooling side. I'm worried about the heating side.
well, the heating side, I think is fine. It was just if they wanted to, put frames in for cooling, that wasn't getting quite cold enough. But he was going to work on that. So I've not heard if they updated the new model or not. And that
Well,
was
how
that was like
warm will it get?
midsummer.
How warm will it get is the question.
I don't know. I don't know. I never heard him mention a range.
Yeah, I emailed them and I never got an answer back.
Huh.
Well, it's like let's see. Jeremy says they're from Texas. I mean, like myself, I gotta get yourself a used refrigerator, put a heat lamp in there, and get yourself a Inkbird controller, and you're done.
Yeah.
I did put a fan in mine. Fan seems to rotate that heat around to where I got 3 buckets in there. The bucket up on top was always getting hotter than the ones at the bottom. Now it seems to be a little more even heat.
Right.
Well, Jonathan, you can liquefy 5 gallons overnight. That must not be very um, crystallized. I know I've had mine where it's gotten looks like applesauce. It takes more than a day to do that.
Yeah. That's what mine looks like
Yeah.
now. It's applesauce.
I got a bucket draining right now into mine. That was applesauce, and I need to go down and check it tonight. I kind of forgot about it till you mentioned it.
Yeah, Jeremy, it's about $50 for the Inkbird controller, I think. Heat lamp, and you got to get the lamp and the receptacle. So you got about $75 in it total, maybe. I got the fan off of Amazon.
Where'd you
Something
get the heat controller?
Amazon. You can buy the Inkbird. You can buy, it's like Robert comes on here. He wants one that's, what do you call it? Phone, wirelessly controlled and all that stuff. I just plug it in and, dot the numbers in. And what I did was I put some double-sided Velcro and I Velcroed it to the side of the darn refrigerator. Some people like to bore holes in there. I just wrapped it around through the hinge side of the door, the probe, and the electrical cord came from the light thing. You need a white light. You don't need to buy red because that's for animals, and it's actually costs more. And I ran it all through the corner or the hinge side of the door, and it was easy to set up.
How many buckets can you get in it? 3?
What was that, Bob? Bill?
How many buckets can you get in it? 3?
3.
Okay. I'd probably do that a whole lot cheaper and I'd buy a warming cabinet too.
Oh yeah. He's got one here for $17. Jeremy just sent me a thing, but mine's more of a plug and place controller that I got.
Yeah.
I mean, you can go to my videos, Bill, if you want to look at it. I show it there. And you see
Another option is you can find pizza tray warmers. I got mine for free. The guy if he goes, as long as you come over and pick it up, you can have it. And they're
Well,
pretty cheap, and they hold like, four buckets, I believe, maybe 5. I've never tried putting that many in. 4 buckets probably.
on mine, I got refrigerator like your normal refrigerator in the bottom, It's not a side by side or nothing. And up top is your freezer.
Yep.
Well, the bottom one, that warms 3 buckets. Shut that off in the summertime because you don't need to. The top
Right.
becomes my
Incubator.
incubator. And I have another controller for that up there with a heat lamp. And I got a little teeny fan. And I got a little meat tray or Tupperware tray that holds about 16 ounces of water out of a Coke bottle to keep humidity upright.
Yeah.
Right.
And works perfect, you know. And then I've got the hair roller cages. This is before easy peasy setup that you can buy today. And I got these 30 millimeter test tube holders. You can get 3 of them for like $12 or something like that. Maybe cheaper than that off of Amazon. You can put your hair roller cages in and put your, with the, you know, of course the cell will be in the top of them, and just lay that in there. And queens hatch out, and I pull the hair roller cages out and take them out to the yard and put them in the two-way mating boxes. So I got, you know, incubator, honey warmer, all in one. I got 2 controllers, 2 lights. Yeah, it's vents. Let me see if I can find the literature on that. I usually have it sitting here. There it is. Oh, all right, Vince. There's what it looks like.
Yep. I'm looking at it.
It is a ITC 308.
I'm looking at a 306.
Mine's got, it's got a sensor cable, a plug in, a plug cable to plug into your AC outlet. Then it's
Yep.
got a little block here for heat, for hot and cold, where you plug it in for hot. It's, you can control refrigerators too with it if you wanted to.
Mm-hmm. And it's got a block on it with 2 plugs.
Hey, Brad. Hey, Nancy. What's this here? What's oh, is that my warning, my video? I guess it is. If anybody wants to look at my video on it, you can go to, Lee's got it in the chat there. But that's what I use. I got the light and the fixture at Home Depot. You can buy it from Amazon also.
Yep.
I mean, you know, I kept my controller as, I'll say, simple as possible. Hey, Matt. So anyway, that's what you can do as far as have an incubator, heat your honey up. I don't know. It seems like now if that stuff is rock hard honey, you know, where it's, I mean, literally rock hard, you're going to have to put that bucket in a hot water bath.
Yep.
And give yourself at least an hour, if not more, of slowly, you know, melting that honey down. And I've had it where it's in the applesauce phase, and it might take a week or so. I mean, I don't know, maybe, no, I mean, if it's really hard like that, you really need to run it up to about 110 degrees inside the box.
Yeah.
And then the honey will be about 95. But I try to, this year with my bottling tank, well, the last couple of years with the bottling tank, in my hot box, I try to keep things in the hot box is keep it full and keep the crystallization down to a very minimum.
Down to my basement the other day where I got my buckets of honey in my basement. It was down to 60 degrees. I go, oh shoot. My buckets were a little crystallized,
A little bit.
but they still poured into the heating tank, honey tank.
Hey, Russell Koopman, how many watts? I mean, it's the light is 110. It's just a normal regular 110 outlet. You run your controller in a regular normal you plug the light into the controller into your outlet, and it just sits there and turns the light on.
Right. It's a heater.
I guess as far as the lights go, I think mine's 150 watt. It might be better to have a higher wattage bulb.
Yeah, that 308 is 1100 watts as the maximum output load on it.
So, Phil, are you at the branch?
Yeah,
Hey,
I don't
Phil.
know if it's big enough to be a ranch, but we'll go with that. I'm eating my leftover turkey gumbo and lactose-free cornbread. You know what lactose-free cornbread is?
No.
When you have cornbread mix, but you don't have the milk to go in it, you just use water.
Okay.
Now
No,
that's hardcore. Somebody likes cornbread.
Yeah, I'm not much on cornbread. But now Brad, he's talking about his cabinet up there. He's got a really nice setup where he's got multiple buckets in there. And of course, the main thing of it is on mine, it's not really made right. It should have the lighting and the heating elements at the bottom so the hot air rises. And I was just kind of making it as easy as I can. I just put it on like a shelf on side the little shelf that you usually have your tray in there for your meats and stuff off to the side about halfway up. Brad's there. He's got I'll say a false bottom, and underneath of that is where the two lights are, and which the heat rises and does a great job that way.
So could you put a ceramic heating element in there
You could.
and use that controller to control it?
Yeah. Yeah. I just used the light. I didn't know much about ceramic heaters at the time, the reptile heaters and stuff.
Yeah, because that's what I'm looking at right now is a reptile heater.
See, like Brad said there, he's doing 600 pounds at a time in 12 pails.
He's got one heck of a box then.
Yeah, well, his
Yeah,
box, he designed it to put in, loaded with a front end loader with pallets with,
Yeah. Okay.
The tractor.
he can stack, so many buckets on a pallet and put that right in there.
Yeah.
Well, I had a big day today. Started out, I had a meeting with the big corporation. They want me to put some bees on there. They've got a 10-acre lot behind their corporate building. They want me to put bees on there. That went pretty good. So I got to get my proposal.
What kind of company is it?
They're a pharmaceutical company. But mostly what they manufacture at this location is like testing. It's all like testing equipment, like blood testing and stuff like that.
So are they going to want the honey or are they going to let you have it?
They said I could have it, but they want me to they have like an environmental day or something, and they want me to come out and set up a table and sell it. Plus, we may work a deal out where I can maybe do some bottles with their label on it or something. It might be kind of fun. But
So Keith Half Tracks has a good question for you.
okay, I can't see the comment.
He said, we talked about that at Expo, no liability concerns for stings.
Or, well, yeah, there is liability concerns for that. I'm going to write it up. I'm going to write it up where, it basically says things are possible. Texas has a law it's a livestock law that basically says anybody entering a property with livestock on it assumes the risk of injury. So as long as they don't do anything completely out of the ordinary, that doesn't mean somebody won't sue you, but
Ohio's the same way.
Yeah, I think PA's the same way. You might have to post a sign referring to it.
well, I am. I'm going to post a lot of signs,
Yeah.
especially
Yeah, I
where
got a
people
sign.
are along the edge of the parking lot. It's going to be, probably 400 or 500 feet of highs from the parking lot. And then I'm going to put signs out along the parking lot and then also 100 feet all the way around out from the colonies, all the way
So
around.
what is it?
Service side.
They doing this for environmental services or something?
Well, they planted this big lot they have. They planted a bunch of wildflowers on it. So they want something to pollinate their wildflowers. But yeah, it's all kind of there's all kind of a sustainability program or something. But
Is that does that place pretty close to you then?
yeah, it's 7 miles in a straight line, but it takes me about 20 minutes to get there.
Well, that's perfect, 7 miles. That way your bees and that bees won't interfere with each other.
That's right.
You could gotta use it as an out yard where you're flipping things around.
Yep.
Yep. Quarantine yard.
I told him I was going to put between 5 and 10 colonies there to start. See how it went.
So is
Sounds like
that,
a plan.
are you moving them bees from some other location or are you just gonna?
I'm gonna
build
move them from my house because I got too many bees at my house. So it'll get me down to where I need to be. But I am going to go out there and split them and try to stick to my plan that I have to replace all my queens too. I told them you're going to see some little small boxes down there at the corner, several hundred feet away, and that'll be my splits. They also told them I was going to hang a bunch of swarm traps around to try to keep them from, moving into buildings and houses and stuff.
Yep.
Phil, I might have missed this on the beginning, but are you picking up a general liability insurance type thing for such a thing, or did any of you guys carry anything like that?
I don't have it now, but yes, I am going to pick that up for this. About $600.
And where are you gonna get that, Phil?
I gotta find the guy's name, but there was a guy at the bee conference that specializes in general liability for beekeepers. It's just a general liability policy. It's not anything special, but he understands beekeepers and beekeeping, so he specializes in that
Is it
area.
Texas Insurance and Financial Services, Steve Osborne.
Sounds about right. Steve Osborne sounds right. Where'd you get that?
Well, our
Robbie?
club is going through a major overhaul of insurance. And we had one person, well, a member said, get this person to get insurance. And then
You say they
I was talking with somebody at Nobby, which was actually one of our Maryland State directors. And they use this company out of California, I guess it is. And anyway, he is a beekeeper himself, He was and all that kind of stuff. So he knows the business. He knows beekeeping because he does it himself.
Yeah, I went to a seminar at the Texas Beekeepers Association, the summer meeting, and he was there speaking. I'm pretty sure it's the same guy.
It's a
Yeah,
512. It's a 512 area code. Is that Texas or
That's Texas. That's down around Austin.
512?
Yeah.
I'm looking through the Bee Journal. I think I saw somebody advertised it in there because I'm looking at. I'm going to have to get a general liability, possibly get a general liability. I'm going to lease a chunk of ground off a guy, and I think I'm going to be required to do that.
I'm going to get a general liability, and I'm also going to get set my business up as an LLC also.
That's how I set mine up right out the gate.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
got
Liability.
But I need to do that now. I should have done it a long time ago, but I'm doing it next week. It's easy to do in Texas.
It says here on this paper $395 for general minimum premium, general liability, and property combined.
Is that like a $2 million type thing, Charlie, or doesn't it say?
Let's see.
I thought it was about 500 for $1 million. I've got general liability through my other business, and it's 565 or something for $1 million policy.
There's $1 million here for something. I forget where was that. We're still working out some details. I don't know. I mean, I can give you the guy's phone number if you want.
I may come back to you. I was going to contact somebody that I remember
Well,
from that conference.
you got my phone, so you can give me a call.
Yeah.
But
and also this afternoon, I met the state. I guess he's one of the assistants, but the state bee inspector. He's not the bee inspector, but he's works for the bee inspector. But we went through. I thought he would only go through a few colonies. We ended up going through almost every one in 1 yard. Probably all but about 5 out of 20, maybe. We probably went through 15 colonies.
Stephen or Melissa and Tom have theirs to Farm Bureau.
That's who I got mine through, is Farm Bureau.
But he didn't find any disease, so I'm gonna get me a clean bill of health.
Good.
That's good.
Hey, Brian.
It was cloudy and windy, and the bees were more or less well behaved. They were a little bit flighty, but I thought they'd really be all over us.
What was your temperatures down there today?
Me?
I think about 60 to 63, somewhere in there.
Okay.
Really?
It was warm enough.
That's balmy.
And probably half the colonies had about a baseball to softball size cat brood. And then out from that was like 3 to 4 inch diameter, and then out from that another 3 or 4 inches was filled with milk brood, young larvae. So they're gonna take off soon if this cold doesn't get them.
What cold? 60 degrees? Come on.
No, that's not cold.
I know. I'm dreaming of 60 degrees, Phil.
Tomorrow
Today was a balmy 40.
Tomorrow it's going to get to 50, and then it's going to drop. It's going to drop to 22, I think, tomorrow night, and then it's going to stay. It's going to stay between 22 and 40-ish for about 3 or 4 days. That's cold for us.
Come on up here and I'll show you what cold is, Phil.
Yeah, we're gonna see it another
today
day.
was the best day of the week. It was right at 40 degrees, and it was comfortable, I'll say, to be outside, even though you were dressed warmly.
If you were in the
Previous
sun.
to that, between the wind and about 28 degrees or so, 25. Forget that.
Yeah, I will say that because it was cloudy, the bees weren't really coming out until we started messing with them. Then they came out in force.
Yeah, well, right now it's 30 degrees.
I walked by mine a couple times today, the ones there at the house, and there was nobody moving.
Real.
It might be down to 56 by now.
Oh man, that'd be
I could
nice.
probably take this stocking cap off. I'm just trying to be cold outside.
I like Brad.
What'd
Hey
you
Phil,
say?
for what it's worth, I'm looking at the August of American Bee Journal, and the very back page on the inside cover, there's a thing about beekeeping insurance services for the what it's worth.
Okay. But yeah, I'm going to try to do some pollinate. They call it pollination services, but what it is just putting bees on people's land so they can avoid some taxes, get some ag exemption.
They get land use out of it.
Yeah. So I'm going to try to do. I'd like to pick up about 3 to 5 of those this year, and then maybe keep going from there. Get up to 10 to 20. That's a lot of bees, though. Most places need between 5 and 10 colonies. Or
Is
6
that what
and
it
10.
is for the tax break?
Yeah, that's they want 5 or 6 for the first 5 acres. You have to have between 5 and 20 acres. And for the first 5 acres, they want 5 or 6. Then they want 1 colony for every 2 acres after that. It can get up to like 11 or 12 colonies the most. But in my opinion, if they're in an area with a lot of land, I'm going to move 20 out there. I'll just charge them for what they need, but I'll move as many as I need to take advantage of the flow.
Well, and the
There
other
you
thing is that's more efficient for you to work when there's a pile of them.
Exactly. I got to come up with some way to make money because I don't look like I'm going to make much honey ever. My 25 pounds per colony isn't going to cut it. I got to sell bees and pollination.
I don't know, Charlie. I don't know if it's going to be warm enough tomorrow, bud.
What, for vaping?
Yep.
I don't think so.
I mean,
Why not?
they weren't out at all. I mean, there was.
Well, now you don't want them out.
Well, now I know, but they got to break cluster a little bit, and I'm
Yeah,
not
I mean,
convinced they
I've always
are.
found that I like the 45-degree area where
Yep.
the cluster is broke. If you go at 48, they'll start to fly out, which you kind of have to fight to keep them in. And
Well, that's just it. A lot of times when I hit them, they'll come out and beard on the front, and I'm not comfortable. I don't think I'm going to be comfortable with it. I might not get that 90% of the 10% that was left, after the last time.
Well, you wait too much longer, you're going to start getting brood in those hives.
Yeah, I know. That's why I've been kind of sweating doing it.
if it's right at 40, 42, I mean, the last time I hit them in December, I'm going to say it was 43 degrees. And
Yeah, when I hit them in December, it was between 45 and 50. So I felt good about that. They could come out and beard and they were all white and it didn't really matter. You know what I mean?
yeah,
You're not gonna hurt them by vaping them. You might not be as effective, but that's better than not doing it, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just don't want to run some of them out of the hive and then they don't get back in,
You don't block the entrance? I always block the entrance.
I throw a wet towel over it.
Yeah.
I just shove a towel in the entrance with my hive tool
I have my
or with foamy or something.
I got foam compressed foam insulation.
Yeah. Well,
Well, it
my
sounds
batteries
like
are charged and she's ready to rock. So we'll see in the morning.
That's interesting. I think Brian Cooper.
there's some kind of critter out here crawling around.
And if anything, you're warming the hive up, close down the front for 10 minutes so it's effective, and then they won't run out. That's what I do.
Hey, Charlie, I'm gonna show you.
I blow smoke
Show you guys something.
from the back end and close everything up to where I'll say 95% of it's inside the hive. What you got, Phil?
Yeah, this is Texas for you. Hold on. Let me see here. Where'd it go?
What?
Hold on.
You got girls helping you out there.
Let's see. Oh, I think it went under my building. It was an armadillo.
One of your sidekicks. Partner in
Yeah.
crime.
That's one of his helpers.
Yeah, it went under the building.
What was it?
Oh, it was an armadillo.
Jump
I heard
up down
about
hard enough, he'll come up out of there.
I just I heard something scratching around over there, and that's what it was. All right, let me get this flipped back around here.
I would go ahead and do it there, Will.
Yeah,
I
I'm
would
gonna.
too.
If
I
it's,
would
if it's
too.
get out there about, I guess it'd be about 40 degrees midday, something like that.
Yeah, noon, 1 o'clock, and
And I don't know. I mean, Bill might. I mean, what do you think about that? I mean, they all talk about cluster, but when you blow that smoke in there, you know, it kind of disturbs them and kind of gets them a little loose. I mean, the cluster.
yeah, they tune up normally. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but what I'm getting is, all right, you got a cluster, but now think about it, the mechanics of it here. You got frame after frame after frame. So you got bees on this frame and bees on this frame. I mean, they're not like a solid ball, I don't think. They're all in a group with those.
Well, I bet they're a
frames,
solid ball right now.
you know.
Well,
I mean,
I don't know.
they're wrapping themselves around frames and around
Yeah.
wax.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, they're on frames and on wax. So there might, I don't know whether they're back to back on the two frames or whether there's a gap where that smoke can go in through there and lay on them and stuff like that. So,
Well, that oxalic acid is going to move through that hive regardless of how tight or how loose they are, because that's what it's designed to do. Because you're putting it in there from that vaporizer, it's pushing it out and it's a little bit of pressure. So if you block that hive up, the entrance, they're not going to get out.
Well, and the other thing is, if I give them a good coating and then they tighten down real tight here for the next week, that can't hurt killing mites. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Hey,
So,
Spank.
but if you wait much longer, if you
Yeah.
wait a couple more weeks, you're going to start having brood on the hive, and you might as well not treat them until spring.
Yeah, I know. I'd have liked to hit them. I'd have liked to hit them as soon as we got back from Nobby, but it was just it's been, you know, it's been pretty cold ever since. There hasn't been a break that I could take advantage of.
Yeah, I just looked at the forecast again. Now they've changed. It's supposed to be 45 here tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
We're hitting them tomorrow. We're also going to drop pollen. We're going to drop bonnet patties on too, because I'm sure they've eaten it.
Fondant or pollen?
Fondant.
Okay, so you're not hitting the protein button yet.
Not yet. Not till 15th.
I would say for us, Will, about February.
Yeah.
Yep, 15th of February. Then I'll start dropping pollen patties on.
When does your
watch
maples
it
bloom, Will?
Say what?
When does your maples bloom, Will?
I'm not. I need to look. I'm not sure exactly. You know what I mean? I'm thinking we're pretty close together. It's got to be what, April?
Are you in Western Pennsylvania?
No, I'm east. Well, central. I'm right above Charlie.
He's north of Harrisburg?
North of York.
North of York.
Yep.
So your maples ought to be blooming somewhere around March. So I would say somewhere around the 1st of February, or no later than the 15th.
I was thinking the first week or the second week of February.
That's what I would say, first or second week. Yeah.
They hit them with pollen. You know what I mean?
Yeah, pollen. That's right. And all that stuff. So yeah, I would do that. And all.
And then April sometime to set the hive up. Early April, I guess, depending on how things shake out.
What's that?
I'm gonna try doing that Demaree method you were talking about.
Honey supers?
Yeah, pulling. I have candy boards on. I'm going to pull them off, and I'm going to try that Demaree method like you were talking about. That sounds too good not to try it with at least a few of them, depending on the temperatures and all that.
And you better come down for my splits class.
Yeah.
Is that up on your website, or how do I find? How do I've
It's
been
on my website.
fumbling?
It's on my
Okay, I'll get on there.
Yeah, if you put calling on them, you're gonna be fighting swarming too.
Hmm.
So
Are you doing queens also, Will?
I was gonna order a pile of,
No.
you
Do
know,
you know how to do you know how to make queens?
I did 3 rounds last year with limited success, I'm gonna say.
Now I'm looking at Alicia here. I didn't
Oh.
know she had her own YouTube channel now.
Yeah. I'm struggling with buying a first round of queens before I can make them. Or
Well, where
wondering
you're
if I
at and
could-
where I'm at, we can't, it's too damn early to be able to make them. They'll be made around, let's say May, June, and July would be our queen rearing month. But Bill's having a queen rearing class, which I'm going to be going to. And I think
I need to get in both of his classes.
Darren, uh, Darren, the Pennsylvania beekeepers coming down to that. And it's right off of 81. And 2-day class. I watched their video that I forget, somebody was mention the guy from Canada there, and he was setting up a cell builder.
How did
Bob-
it set up?
I was just saying, Bob Walker's on here. Kudik said they won't have cells until March. That's about right. What kind of got me was he had a double deep, and he found the queen. He had a secondary box over there off the left where he put her over there and keep her separated. And he put in 2 frames of pollen, and then he put his graft frame in there, and he had a feeder. And I think he had a feeder in there, and he fed them for a day or so to get them all wound up, I guess, or fat and happy about making cells and stuff, or jelly. And he put the graft in, but he didn't put any more frames in. And he had all these. He shook 2 or 3 frames of bees in there, nurse bees. And it's like, well, why didn't you leave frames in there for them to hang on? I couldn't quite figure that one out. And then he put a double screen board on, and he put the top box back on and put the queen upstairs. I think he came back in 24 hours, tore it all apart, put the queen downstairs, queen excluder, and the other box up on top. But he added, I'll say, open brood and stuff to it to bring more nurse bees up. And then he came back for so many days later and got the cap queen cells. But I don't know. I just had questions about some of the procedures he did and all. That's kind of like what Bob Benny showed, I think, one time, or that one boy down in Virginia. He did it like he said he studied Bob Benny's method, and that was the one thing I didn't quite comprehend when I first started, was the fact that you didn't put any brood in there until you basically force the bees to look at those grafted cells first. That's all they had there. That's all the attention they had to do, is just them, which is, I can see that. But you're doing a couple different ways, aren't you, Bill?
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's
I'm doing
right.
a couple.
Yeah, that's right, Doug. Steve Sleep.
Yeah, that was I kind of followed his video for what I was doing, but I was going to ask you, Charlie, with this Demaree method.
I call it Demaree. Yeah.
Demaree. Now I understand that you're splitting that up to make a bunch of colony on there, but if you're going to have a bunch of queen cells up top there, couldn't you take advantage of that and make a split or two out of it?
Oh yeah, sure.
Not right away. Not right after you do it.
No, you got to let those cells mature in there, right?
the thing is with the Demaree split, that first you want to come back in 7 days, because then you're going to have a split colony if you do this.
Yep.
If you don't get rid of those queen cells on the 7th day, you're going to have a split colony.
Yep.
So you have to get those queen cells out of there. That's why you kill them. You can harvest the cells and move them somewhere else. But if you don't kill those queen cells on that 7th day, when you go in there, you're going to end up with a split colony, and that's not good.
Right. No.
But-
I was looking at either trying to harvest some of the cells and put them in an incubator, once they're capped. I'm assuming they would
Once
be
they're capped like that, and you got them on frames, just take and make yourself a split and put it in a 5-frame nuke.
Well,
Or-
that's what I'm talking about. If I could pull the frame off, if I have enough assets. Now I don't want to understand and looking at that whatever it is method.
Yeah, Demaree.
You're trying to pump up your colony of bees, so you don't want to take too much away. But I'm thinking, man, if I can pull a frame out and pull one split out of it, and
if you pulled the frame out of it and you had another hive that was ready to be split, then you could do it that way. You don't want to split the Demaree.
yeah, because it's defeating the purpose of it, right?
Right, exactly. You're taking bees away from it when you're trying to build them up.
I mean, now if you get in there and let's say you got a frame with about 4 or 5 cells on there, you can go in there and you can cut that cell out with a knife real easy cut it down around to the foundation, the plastic foundation.
Yep.
Take that cell, then take your finger on another frame of just like, let's say you want to put it where there's some open brood so that those bees will cover it along with that other brood to keep it warm, and take your finger and make an indentation. And you put that cell in there and just kind of squeeze around it just lightly, just enough to hold it in place. And like you say, like Bill said, put it in a nuke that's already been populated that doesn't have a queen, and just put it together there. They'll wax that cell in and she'll hatch out and you should be good to go.
If I'm careful, I can put them in an incubator too, right?
Yep.
No, you can. I mean,
If I wanted to.
yeah, I mean, if the main thing when I do grafting is on grafting day, I go out there, I find a frame, I graft, I put it in graft frame, put it in my cell builder. I wait 6 days. By the 6th day, all them cells should be capped. And that's when I pull that cells out of that cell builder and I put them in an incubator. And I like to let my queens hatch in the incubator.
Okay.
So I put them in hair roller cages, and that's where I got that 30 millimeter test tube holder. Put all those in there and put it in the incubator. You calculate how many days it is when them bees are going to start to hatch. You can just check them in the morning, check them at noontime, every 3 or 4 hours. And I like to pull mine out as fast as possible. Some people say you can hold them. Well, I've never had any luck with that, even though I'm trying to feed them and all that stuff. And take them out there to 2-frame mating boxes that are already pre-made up, and let her walk on in there, and then she'll do her thing in 2 weeks' times.
Yeah, I was gonna order, because of being early. I wanted to pull a split out of everybody, to help control swarming and stuff like that. And I was gonna order in, 30 queens or something like that, and then, put my splits above a double screen board so they stay warm, and then pull them off and put the mated queens in. But I'm only with cutting queen cells off of frames. I think I get about 1 out of 4 that I get off right, that it's whole, that I didn't pull it back off the cell or something like that. And then when I had made some queens last year, I put them in an incubator, and had a couple of them get out and get loose and kill a couple in there, and all kinds of rodeo shit going on. You know what I mean?
And when are you going to do all this? Because I mean, how early are you going to do this?
Well,
Are we talking April here? Somewhere's mid-April.
we're talking April.
Yeah, because I mean,
I got to set my
our
Demaree
problem
stuff
is
up in April.
April. You know, it's like 70 during the day in April, and then it's 40 at night.
Yep.
You know, it's a big, you know, you got
my normal MO would be to crack into them as soon as it's warm enough in April and pull some brood up above a double screen board.
Normally what I do is if these hives are going to be robust like I hope they're going to be, like bee volcanoes where I got more. I mean, that's what I'm looking for. I want them suckers to be, when I take the inner cover off, I want them boiling over the sides. That's how much bees. And I want them bees from the bottom board to the top. That's how it was 2 years ago. Yep. Last year was a total disaster, but I overcome and adapted. Yep. And so anyway, if everything goes well like that, the first thing I'm going to do is that hive needs space. You know, space in the fact that it just needs more boxes, that kind of space. And I'm going to throw at least 100, let's say a couple honey supers on, just to give them some place to hang. And then with me, I've got 3 mediums. So the top medium, I'm going to go through the top medium and then have an extra box laying on the side. So if I can find some totally capped brood, I'm going to pull them frames out. And then I'm going to go through the middle box and try to find more cat brood and do that. Now, something else I've also thought about is that because there is so many bees, I might just go in there, put a queen excluder on top of the stack, put honey supers on, and then come back. Let them bees go up into those honey supers so I can drain a lot of bees off of the brood area so I can see better and not have to fight the amount of bees in that box. Mm-hmm. That's my logic behind that. And then I can pull the brood out of the top 2 boxes, put it in a box off to the side, and condense those, take the brood out of, or the top box, that top brood box off, and condense it down into two mediums where they have empty holes and stuff. And then put that brood box up on top, and then put the queen excluder, the honey supers on, put the brood up on top. That'll draw the bees up through the whole stack and all that. And I just let it go. And like Bill says there, go back in there about 5 or 6 days. And, you know, I'm going to cut the damn queen cells out, you know, either harvest, or if I'm trying, you know, depending on what I need to make more nukes right now, because I'm down on my nuke population. So I might try to harvest some of them early queens for that. And
that's what I was thinking.
My nukes will be doubles. So I'll just I'll just pull the box off, put it on its own base, and, you know, and just make more splits right off the bat.
Yeah.
Early on.
It kills me to squash queen cells. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, you can always harvest.
Well, that's what I mean. I'm going to try and harvest them.
Where are you at in Pennsylvania, Will?
I'm in an area called Edders or Goldsboro. I'm about halfway between Harrisburg and York on the Susquehanna River.
All right. So I'm looking at the prediction map for 2025 for start of spring. And it is in your area, the end of April to the beginning of May is what they're predicting. And Charlie, yours is solid April and mine's solid April.
As far as what now?
So I'm a couple 3 weeks later than Charlie.
Actually, when it's warm enough, this is the planting guide. So it's going to be warm enough to plant in April. So if you correlate that to the bees, So it's going to be warm enough in April to do splits.
Okay.
Now, Bill, did you ever do any of that growing days thing? I've looked at that and I never could figure that thing out.
That's what I'm looking at.
Degrees of growing or something like that, they call that.
Yep. That's what I'm looking at. So, and I mean, like 2 counties across the West Virginia line for me, they're saying May is when it'd be warm enough to plant. And now, and you correlate that to the bees, that's when you do your splits, is when it's warm enough to plant.
Yeah, because Charlie, I think that's in that Lancaster farm paper. Have you ever seen that?
I used to get that, but I don't get it anymore.
Oh, I'm getting it now, and it drives me crazy. I can only read about one a month, and you end up getting choked with them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You got one a week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but what you do is you save all of them there. Look at all them nice papers you can use for splits and stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they're perfect for that. I'll give it that. That's a lot of
Nice,
splits.
nice big pages, and you can put the whole page on the top of a 10-frame hive.
Oh yeah, it works good.
If you need to take and do a split with a new queen or whatever, all that.
Yeah,
but I used to buy it all the time, but I'm not. I'm done farming per se. You might say my son isn't, but I look at all that stuff and it's like I'm not buying anything.
Yeah, the mailbox markets on there used to get me in trouble, but I'm kind of over it at this point. There's not a lot of bee gear in there, at least, thankfully.
Yeah, there's a few of them, but they're always, once you get into the, it's like me and you know each other now. We kind of know where we live. You know where I live at because you've been back. So I mean, you don't need to go through and try to hunt. You know where people are at.
Yeah.
You know where we can go. We know we can go to different places to buy bees or whatever else,
So, Bill, you're saying I'm about 3 weeks behind Charlie. Is that what it is?
2 to 3 weeks behind
2 to 3
Charlie.
weeks.
Charlie and I are about the same time, maybe a week apart.
Okay. And every time I look at Tom's screen, I just see snow everywhere and think he must be on. I don't know
That's
where
how it
he
is right now.
He's on the west side of Cincinnati.
We got 11 and a half inches, and then we got 3 inches after that. So 14, 15 inches of snow.
What are they calling for us, Charlie?
What's
I've
that?
heard everywhere from 2 inches to 6 inches.
What, lately?
Sunday night coming.
Oh, I don't.
Sunday.
I don't even listen.
Yeah.
They said a little bit of
Well,
stone.
graft in my area, I graft either the last 2 days of March or the first couple of days of April about every year.
Really?
It doesn't change that much because our swarm season, our first swarms start right around the first or second week of April. So
Okay.
I time it just with what the bees are always doing about every year. But I only would do about 15 cells the first time, just because I know there's not there's not full drones out there yet. And then usually by the second week of April, I'll do the full 30 to 45 cells. Then I'll repeat that again in summer solstice. I'll do 230 cells, 2 rows, two times of 30 cells. That's my routine about every year.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm just going to be up in the air here whether I can salvage some of these queen cells and use them doing this, different method a little bit or what I'm going to do. So.
I mean, it's worth trying, Will. It can't hurt to try.
Yeah.
Do
All right,
you ever-
everybody. I got 100 people in here, and I got 10 or 11 likes on the darn thing. So how about clicking the like? How about
I need to
clicking
do
the
that.
like thing?
I need to
You got
get
to
back
talk
on
about
that.
something else.
There's
So-
100 people in here.
Hey, Will,
I've
are
been
you
working
gonna,
on my registration for my
Will, are you going to have drones at that
property.
time that you're getting
Well,
those cells?
Well, that's the struggle. If I don't have drones to graft with, I'm not going to have drones to get these queen cells mated with, right?
right.
Well, there's one easy way to get drones. Create a hive with a laying work.
Yeah.
I don't think that's going to help your mating success.
Yeah. Or I'll
No.
just buy some mated queens, right?
Steve, what are you talking about, Steve Amos? 42. Now there's 103 in here. And I appreciate everybody in here. I like them kind of numbers.
Yeah, one of the colonies that we were looking through today had a bunch of drones in it. No brood. We couldn't find the queen, but we didn't see any sign of laying worker either. So it's kind of an odd situation.
Well, don't you have like a window, like, is it 20 days or something before one of them will start laying?
Yeah, but what we saw though, we saw like 20 or more drones crawling around, walking around. In some places there was a lot of them.
Yeah, Doug says I'm famous. Actually,
Yeah.
I'm a legend. I'm a
You're
legend.
the myth, the legend, Sawmill.
I'm a legend. At least
The legend.
that's what Bruce says down there in Alabama. I'm a legend. And he's going to get me a hat that says legend right across the front.
All right.
When I saw you dancing up there at the front of that Hives to Heroes thing, that's what I was thinking. There he is, the man, the myth, the legend.
Right.
Oh, I enjoy doing all that stuff.
Oh, yeah, that's cool.
That's what I did. Went out to music Saturday night last week and Sunday up at the BFW here.
They just didn't have a fiddle.
I know they didn't have a fiddle or a banjo, no, and by definition from Bill Monroe, that ain't a bluegrass band.
Yeah. Yep.
And
We were breaking down conditions on you.
Well, they were a good band as far as, I mean, I'm not saying they weren't a nice band. They didn't play very good as far as speed.
The place cleared out quick, but I really enjoyed that. That was cool. And I'm sorry that I missed your pizza party. I think I would have I wanted to go to that.
Yeah. Well,
next year.
Next year,
we were like
a better pizza party because they won't find a bigger room.
we were like a high ready to swarm, weren't we, Tom?
Yeah.
Well, if it was worse than Hives to Heroes, I can't imagine.
Yeah, it was.
It was. Kaiser Heroes had 250 tickets sold and they had 135 chairs. We had 50 tickets given out and we had 35 chairs.
Yeah.
But we got that solved pretty good. But no, Bill and Melissa and Tom and everybody's working on see if we can't find a new place where at least 100, 150 people can come out. And I really enjoyed that. It was like a family reunion as far as I was concerned, where we didn't have to hunt everybody at the conference, where we all come and we didn't have nothing else to do, we didn't have to run off and go do a class. We all were there just to hang out, talk, eat, and have, fun. Be merry and just to finally meet everybody. I mean, I was walking in at 6:30 and there's this guy and a bunch of people with his back hatch open, and I'm listening like, well, that's Big Mike. I recognize his voice. I didn't even see him. He's all in the dark. I said, hey, Big Mike, he said, yeah, this is Big Mike, with that. And I'm like, sure enough, that's who it was,
We need to have I don't know how many we could do, but we need to have a deal where everybody stands up and says their name and where they're from. Because I saw so many people there that I had the name tags were real small. Yeah, I wanted to know who everybody was. I was asking Keith if he knew, and he was asking me and all that.
Yeah.
So,
And you need to give their YouTube handle.
Yeah.
So you can associate that name with that YouTube channel.
that's true, because when Tom says his last name, I'm like, what are you talking about?
Might be
Right.
the Ox. Good to see you in here.
So
We got newcomers like Alicia there. She's got her own little channel. I just looked her up and all that. And she has, we were over there at the what do you call it? The Mead tasting thing. We all got our bee antennas on and stuff like that, and all. But yeah, it was fun. I enjoyed that a lot.
Anybody know how to get a hold of Big Mike?
Yeah, I can get a hold. I got his phone number.
I'll call you tomorrow to get it if you don't mind.
It's let me go around there and look at the bottle. I'm sure it's on that one for sure.
So did you do, Charlie, did you do meat at your pizza party, or was that separate?
Yeah,
from
that
meat?
was another thing that I went to the Mead bees and brews and bees or something like that,
Beaks and
Yeah.
brews.
Okay.
and it was $10. I'm not a mead drinker at all. I just went there to kind of more or less network with people. It wasn't quite as prosperous as I thought, so I probably won't go back to that.
My girls are making a pile of meat, and they hooked up with my brother, and next thing I know, there's 5-gallon things of mead bubbling away in my freaking closet, and there's a 5-gallon bucket of honey that they tore into and tore apart.
Next
And,
thing you're going to have is a copper kettle in the backyard there or something.
Yeah, you are.
yeah, well, one of the guys I'm going to put bees on, he's a big distiller, and he can't wait to play into some of that. So it's next year I need to probably, get into some of the mead stuff a little bit, just so I know. I'm not a drinker at all, but it's cool.
Well, once in my life, I used to have my own little store where I taught people how to make wine, how to make mead, how to make beer, and how to make moonshine, and
There you go.
and tea, and sold all the equipment for those industries, for those drinks.
Did you
I would
start
have
walking
classes.
by? Did you start walking by all your other equipment and start calculating how many beehives you could make out of if you turned that into beehives?
Well, back
That's
then
my
I wasn't
struggle
even
right now.
interested in the bees.
Yeah.
So I did that for a few years.
My brother's big into the beer making and the mead making and stuff. He lives out in Colorado, and he's real big to the point that he's even judging a bunch of that stuff. And
Well, I used to be a judge too, in the whole 9 yards.
yeah, he came in here for a couple weeks, and boy, they just blew up and all that stuff. So it was great. It was good to be on the sideline and watch and not have to be in
Right.
the middle of it,
A couple of the big microbreweries in Cincinnati were kids that I taught them how to brew beer, and now they got microbreweries.
Very
Yeah.
cool.
But that was a life a long time ago.
That was at least one knee ago, and
Yeah,
Yeah, at least one knee ago, Bill.
1 knee ago. That's when I had 2 good knees.
Yeah.
3 human knees. Now I got 1 mechanical knee,
bionic.
bionic. It's
Yeah, see-
it's really doing good though.
And
Keith,
that's good.
What's
Keith,
his
I
job?
agree. There's good mead and bad mead, and it's hard to find good mead.
Yeah, there was a lot of not so good meat at that thing. There was a few good ones, but there was a lot of not so good.
Well, the
Yeah.
biggest thing about mead is like everything else, you really have to let it set for so many years.
Yeah,
Well,
you gotta let it sit.
Charlie, the only meat I ever made, I drank it within 4 months, and it was great. It was better than most of that meat that was at that thing, but I think I may have just got lucky.
I
You
don't
have to
know.
be really, really, really stingent on being sanitized on everything.
Yeah, I did that.
Until you get some alcohol in that mead. And then you got a lot of people don't realize you got to keep it in the dark. There's light that will destroy it.
Yeah, I put a
There's
towel
little
over it.
things.
Yeah.
When I siphon in my mead or beer or anything like that from one vessel to another vessel, I'll put CO2 in the tubing so it never meets any air. Purge all the air out of it with CO2 because that's heavier than air. Little tricks like that, so all your whatever you're making stays true.
So while y'all were talking, I was sitting here. I don't know if you saw me look over my shoulder, but a skunk came running right at me, got to like 6 feet from me, and then turned and ran the other way.
You realize you were sitting there.
It's like,
What was
whoa.
some of that cornbread you had?
Yeah, probably.
He was like, he was going to eat good tonight.
All it needs a raccoon. I had an armadillo and a skunk.
Yeah.
Well, you ought to
Oh,
be
you're
able to
all
run
right.
with deer down there too, right?
Oh yeah, there's a bunch of deer here. Bunch of pigs too.
Yeah, you don't want to run into one of those.
Not unless I've got my gun.
Yeah. I don't do the brews for Mead because on Thursdays I visit my cousins that live down in the area. So I did the Wednesday with the no lifers and then with the Friday with the Hives for Heroes.
Well, when I walked in and saw they had these little tiny cups, I was like, this ain't gonna be enough. But then all of a sudden I look around and there's, how many was it, Charlie? At least a dozen of them there handing out mead. And it was like, shoot, just drinking one little cup of each one they made, you'd be sloshed.
Yeah. Depending what the alcohol level they put in it.
Most of them was, 14, 15%.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Most of them was.
Get some of that turbo yeast and get it up into 25%. Then it starts tasting like alcohol. So you have to have a good cover. You got to add, have a mead with something added to it to cover the alcohol taste. I used to sell all that stuff. Turbo yeast.
They had quite a bit of that. What do they call it? Melamar or whatever they call it.
Yeah, I can't remember the name of it.
But I didn't like that as well as just a straight mead.
Right. Well, yeah. Pete's right. It can taste like wine, especially if you take a wine yeast.
Yeah, I would
There's
say
I
There's
used
all kinds of-
champagne yeast when I did mine.
What kind of yeast?
Champagne yeast.
Yeah, champagne yeast, wine yeast.
I think it was like
My
a
next
14%.
My next mead I make, I'll do Hefeweizen yeast and a wine yeast mixed together. That way I get a little banana flavored mead. Because Hefeweizen yeast puts out banana flavor. That's where that Weizens come in for the beer.
I've been trying to get my son to make it, but I think because I'm suggesting that he doesn't. He asked right after I started bees, he wanted some mead to make some mead, and he got a quart and made a gallon of it. I think I ended up drinking it. And then I made 4 gallons and drank all of that. My friends helped me with that. They all loved it.
Yeah, maybe I'll make some this spring.
I haven't made any since though. In a couple of years.
Well, I didn't
It's
brew
not
any beer
hard.
last year. First time in a long, long time.
And I've
Busy
got
with the bees.
I saved all that baker's honey. I took my wax that was wax cappings that was, pretty much soaked in honey, and I separated out. So I took all that honey. I've got about, 3 or 4 quarts of that stuff. I was going to use that for mead. It's already been heated.
Yeah. Gotcha.
You'd probably make decent mead.
Yeah. When I let people use my extractor, that's one of my deals is I keep all the wax cappings and or honey that's when they cut it off.
Oh, really?
And then they get to use it.
If it's a thick frame, you can get like 15-20% of the honey.
Yeah, I usually can fill up a 5-gallon bucket.
Mhm.
So it's a win-win. I get a little bit. I get some wax cappings and a little bit of honey, and they get all their honey.
Do they extract it or do you?
They extract it.
Okay.
I usually have to uncap it because they're not very good at it, even though I got a regulated hot knife. And I let them run as much as possible.
If I ever do a deal where I'm managing bees, somebody else's bees, I'm going to offer to extract for 50% of the yield.
Gotcha.
You could probably put that deal out on Marketplace and you might get a couple bites on that even without you managing them, but you got to be careful.
Right.
Because I bet there's people that get tired of cranking all the time.
Yeah, and I don't. If I'm managing the hives, I feel like that's my honey anyway.
Yeah.
But I don't. If I'm just put something out there and people just bring stuff by, I don't. That's.
Well, and then you don't know what they did and what you're mixing into your gear.
Yeah, and
Right.
you don't know. You also don't know. I mean, you by law here you have to blend it with your honey, and I tell people I don't mix my honey. I get whatever I get, it goes in the jar.
Yeah.
I don't
Right.
blend anything. So that goes totally against my whole sales pitch. But if it was hives I managed, I would see that no different than my honey.
Yep.
It's 70-30 in Ohio. Only 30% you can blend in with your 70%.
They should make that the rule here. I think just saying blended and not saying how much is ridiculous. But can you put one drop in? Come on.
Well,
Right.
well, here you can have two different labels of honey. You can have your label, and then the other label you have to put on there. It's a product of the USA, and it was bottled by you, but it's not. By saying it's a product of the USA, it's not your honey.
Right.
You have to know what state it comes out of.
We should be, hopefully, if the legislature acted on it, they're trying to get the law passed in Texas. If you put Texas honey on your jar, because they said literally in Texas there's no regulation, so people are just bringing honey into Texas, bottling it, bringing it from Minnesota, bottling it and calling it Texas honey because it's bottled in Texas, which is ridiculous.
Right.
So the law says it has to be 75% from Texas. That's the law they're pushing, and I'm just wondering why it's not 100%.
Well, Ohio is 70%, so you're a little bit better in Ohio.
Yeah. Hey, Lynn.
To me, I think they'd be better off to try to define local rather than trying to define
All
technical.
the beekeepers that come and use my machine were all local. All the people I bought nukes for me in the past years.
Right.
And all their honey tastes 90% the same as what I produce.
Right.
Because we're all coming from the same, within 20 miles of each other.
Well,
Yeah, that guy had a video and I commented on it. I was like, well, it's a good thing that the Texas bees don't fly over into Louisiana or Arkansas or Oklahoma.
well, Tom, I'll tell you, I'm running into something. One of my buddies here, close, right? Real close. We're both running bees. We're both selling honey. And now I haven't got to the bottom of it yet, but I think the way we manage, he uses formic and I don't. I think that can change the flavor of the honey a little bit. So people are telling me there's a distinct difference, and hell, I know our bees are rubbing up against each other. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but it will be genetic. Some bees, like the Caucasians, got the longest tongues. So some bees will hit different flowers. Some genetics of bees will hit different flowers than other genetics.
Okay.
Or more flowers. So there can be variations just in your genetics of your queen.
Okay.
And the bees. I'm going over to Caucasians just because they got a longer tongue. And they're gentle bees, but they make a lot of propolis. So that's their negative. If you want to call that a negative.
Well, I was going to say you could harvest that too if you wanted to.
Yep, I got a whole bag full of it.
Yeah.
Well, when you were talking about extracting honey, anybody do any custom extracting for other people? That what do you charge per frame? I know years past it was like $1 a frame, which I think is kind of
That ain't worth
low.
it.
Ain't worth it for that.
I was
Well,
telling-
Charlie, what I just told you, like when my neighborhood beekeepers friend, I just keep whatever cappings, the uncapping and the honey. But they
But you-
do most of the work. I
but
don't.
they,
I don't do the work for them. They do the work. For the most
Yeah, I
part.
know, but I
If,
mean,
if we do it,
you're extracting the honey for them, but what do you? How much do you get out of it? The cappings only.
Cappings and the honey.
And the honey out of the cappings, right?
Right.
yeah,
But-
if we do it, we get $250 a frame.
Is that
Most
worth
of
it,
them only
Bill?
have a couple of boxes to
It
do.
can be because they're paying me to do it. Plus, I'm getting all the cappings.
Yeah, the cappings and whatever honey's in the cappings.
Yep.
I have a bee Saturday, usually around the third week of July or the end of July. I said, come on over.
Bill,
It's
is there a
funny to
special spot on your website for this? What do I look under?
For me,
For
Hold on a
Bill
second.
for his classes.
Hold on a second. And I'll post a link up on the screen.
I'm kind of feeling dumb here.
you'll fit in around here then.
Any of you guys playing with any of this simple comb stuff at all?
Not me.
Yeah.
not me yet. I thought about
Is
it.
that plastic crap?
Yeah, the plastic stuff you fold inside out and backwards, and
The
You
only
put in
thing I
frame.
find interesting is it gets you can get it really. It's really thin.
well, yeah, I was wondering value wise, it's like half as thick as the regular cut comb honey that you get.
Right. It's one comb width.
But there ain't no doubt that it's for real. You know what I mean? There's no doctor in that honey.
Right. I was thinking about getting some.
You
I
could
haven't
feed them sugar
done it
water.
yet.
That's one way to adulterate it. If we're just looking for ways to adulterate it.
No. I thought that was the reason for comb honey back in the day was you knew it was pure, or supposed to. I brought 2 packs home from down there.
You knew
Gotta
it was.
try it.
You knew that the bees made it. That somebody didn't add something to it, like corn
Yeah.
syrup or something.
Well,
But
the
it
link
still.
is in the comments for the splits class.
I don't see it.
I don't see it yet.
It's because it hadn't come up yet.
I think it's pretty well known that in certain parts of the world they'll just put vats of sugar water out, and let the bees put it in the comb and dry it. And sometimes they won't even let them dry it down. They'll just take it and dry it themselves.
Yep.
Sell it as honey.
Brian says he bought some simple comb, and I agree with Brian from Flower Street that I don't like spending money for anybody else. I have bad enough for my own time and let everybody
How
else.
about now? You see it now?
No, I don't.
No.
Ah,
If you're trying to put it in the comments, that's hard to do sometimes. They don't like links
Yeah,
in
yeah.
there.
Is it on your website and I'm just not finding it?
Are you on the YouTube side, but Bill?
I put it on the YouTube side and I put it on the StreamYard side too. And it showed up on the YouTube side, but not on StreamYard.
It's Shenandoah Bee Supply, right?
It's yeah.
I was
It
on your
just
website looking and I
It
just
says
feel,
bees all day, splits class. If you go to the home page,
yep.
What's the home page? Shenandoah.
yeah. If you go
It
to the
says
home page,
Shenandoah Bee Supply, home, about, shop, gift card, more, and a cart.
if you see on the home page that big yellow thing in the middle, it says order today.
I don't see that.
Do you see the picture underneath
Shane.
of home, about, shop, gift card, and more?
Yep.
There should be in the center of that picture, that should be order today, a big yellow bubble.
Yeah, I see that.
Click on that bubble.
Let me go back.
And
then
the
what?
second picture to the right, it says splits class free. Or February. It's free.
Order today.
No. Not on order today.
Oh,
Yeah, order today. Click on that.
yep.
And it brings you up into all the products.
Free
And,
class, splits class.
Yep. That's one. That's the one.
Okay. Add to cart.
All right, I put it in the thing. I don't know why Bill can't get in. One of them weird things. I had the same issue.
And then is the grafting class on here too?
No.
Not yet.
The grafting class will be listed on here March 1st.
Okay.
Split class. What are you doing? Just
Four
how to
splits.
make a nuke? How to make a nuke a split?
No, 4 splits. It's going to be walk away, introduced, Demaree, and Terranov.
And what?
Terranov.
Terranov.
Terranov. Make them walk in.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
a
is
Russian.
that thing that Ed tried to do or something down there in Mississippi or something?
You put the board up and
You got a board and like a walls or something there.
Yeah, you put the board up in front of the hive and put a sheet over the board, and they will come out of the front of the hive and land on the board on the sheet. And the ones that want to stay will walk right back into the hive, and the ones that want to split will stay on that sheet. You just dump them right in the box.
Yeah, that sounds a little bit too much sugar for a cent to me. I'd rather just pull a couple frames of brood or 2 or 3 frames of brood, a frame of fruit, food, and some pollen, and put the bees in a box and then add a cell to it and be done. Or a Demaree where, like you say, harvesting the cells.
But you wouldn't believe this, Charlie, but there's a lot of people in the world in the beekeeping community that don't understand the difference between a walk away and an introduced split. They don't know it. They don't know how to do it.
Well, what is an introduced split? The definition.
When you're introducing a new queen.
A maiden queen.
Okay. I guess they don't have the experience of doing that.
Yeah, they don't have the experience of doing it, and they don't know. A lot of people don't know how to do splits.
That's pretty basic.
Those are the 2 most basic splits you can do.
But Bill's exactly right. I think that when I get my new beekeepers, I sell nukes to the next year. That's the first. It seems like that's all I have to tell them how to make a split.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to come down on the 26th, Bill. I just sent it in and sit in a class and check out your store. So,
yeah.
Is that a 1-day deal thing?
That's a 1-day class.
Man, I must be tired today. I'm still shoveling a private drive, and it wore me out again.
DC, that one's called the Demaree.
Well, February 1st or the first week of February, I'll change my picture, my background. I take a picture the first week every month, and that's my background.
No, that's cool. That's a good plan.
Yeah.
And then I can kind of compare it from year to year to year. Because, like, I label it, like, it'll be February 2025. But this is by far, since I've been beekeeping, the most snow for January picture.
Charlie, you got any strategy on YouTube video wise? Are you going to do the chats, or are you going to continue to do some stuff out in the apiary, or you got any are you going to follow a hive through the season, or what are you thinking for YouTube video stuff, content?
Content. I'm going to do I know that the one girl out in Oklahoma, she wanted to do the Demaree, how I do it. And I'm going to try to do it. Try to do it in parts per se. That's what I got in my mind. I don't want the videos to be too long.
Mm-hmm.
And I was going to do that last year, but everything fell, went to hell in a handbasket. And so I'm going to try to, not try, that's what I want to do. That's one of the things. Second thing is do a video on queen rearing, setting up the cell builder. I don't know whether I can actually video grafting. I do have a some kind of a USB magnification unit thing there. I'd like to do that, show people how to graft. Do all the different things that I know what to do and walk them through the process.
We're going to jump to all the technical pieces. Kind of
that's the biggest complaint I have. The one like Doug was talking about sealing. I watched his video. I got it subscribed so I could find the darn thing, and it was the only one that came pretty close of being fairly clear on how to set up a cell builder. But
which one?
Just
Whose was
like
that, Charlie?
Huh?
Whose was that?
I'll send you the link here. It's let me see. Where am I at here?
I had a hard time getting it until I saw that Steve Sleep and then that's what gave me the confidence, and I just jumped in at that point.
He does pretty good, but there's so much. The bottom line of it is he's not a teacher.
Oh yeah.
And I'm one for detail. I'm one stressing, make sure you do this. And I will say that to you on the on the thing. And let's see if this is it. Ziggy Bees. Nope. Nope. There it is, Steve Sleep. Queen Ring. Yeah, this is it. All right, here's the link to that video, Bill. You can copy it or whatever you want to do, or click on it.
Yeah, YouTube, you can click on it. StreamYard, you got to copy paste.
Yeah, Yeah, and I don't know if it was just that as much research as I was doing that finally that was the last one that put me over the top. But
I finally
it
watched
just helped
it.
me.
It's been
you know.
about a year ago when I watched it or more, and I could never find it. And I kept seeing BS, and it was like British Columbia, BC, or whatever. And I tried to research it that way, and it never did ever come up. And then somebody talked about it. What? Who left?
Phil.
Oh, okay. And it's a little more clearer, but it's like, you know, here he comes back. My thing of it is, all right, he's going to talk about a double screen board. Well, first thing I would do in a video is tell people what a double screen board is and why you need it and what it does, to be more clear. And then, like he was saying down there, I think he kind of explains it to where, all right, you need I think he had the hive set up. And I think he was feeding the bees I think he prepped the bees by feeding them, get them all, ready for jelly making. And then he makes the bottom box. He makes two. He said there was bees on them. You couldn't see. He said there was pollen on both sides of that thing. Pollen and nectar, I believe he said.
Yep.
And he put the frame in there, the grafting frame, and he said, and that was it. And then feeder alongside of it, in a frame feeder. And then there's this whole box, and it shakes off, I think, 2 or 3 frames of quote nurse bees. And I'm like, why do you have this big hole here? Why don't you think that the bees would like at least foundation to live, to walk on? I mean, maybe he's got a point there, but I don't know why. And I get the idea, but see, that would be another thing that I would say. I would say put in 2 frames of pollen on both sides. That's where they're going to, and the nectar, which they're going to. You don't want honey, you want nectar. I knew that from experience, and to feed them, but also make a point to state that you don't want to put any other brood in there. You want to manipulate the bees to go towards themselves and only have those cells to work on. And that would be, for a good instructional video. And then he goes through, the double screen board, put the queen up top, and then he has the entrance out the back. And then he did make mention that the bees came out of the back, he came around and flew back into the front,
Yep.
which in turn the top box depopulated to a good portion to depopulation, and that put more bees in there for pulling cells. And but what got me was well, if that's depopulating, they should have frames to hang on, I would think. And so anyway, he went through all those motions, and then he came back so many days later, or a day or 2 later, and he swapped the boxes around. He put the queen and everybody on the bottom, and then he put a queen excluder, and then he put the cell builder up on top, to make it a finisher, a queen starter finisher is what it amounted to. Mm-hmm. And then he also put some more open brood, I guess it was, to draw more nurse bees to the top. Now, would that take away from those other cells? I don't know, Bill. You can answer that question.
If you're going to put brood up there, which you want nurse bees in the long run up there all the time. And if the nurse bees are up there taking care of brood and the cells, they're not going to ignore the queen cells. So they will take care of both of them. Mm-hmm. Because that brood is eventually going to hatch out to be more nurse bees, which is going to help that part of the hive out altogether.
Now here's what Doug's let's see, where are we at here? There's Doug's estimate. With only 2 frames, it ensures the frames are loaded. If you have more frames, it spreads the population, which, okay, that makes sense. That definitely makes sense.
Yeah.
But That should be explained in the video. That, you know,
It should.
put the reasoning behind what you're doing so people have a better understanding of why things are done this way.
Yep.
and stuff
Well,
like
Charlie,
that.
I'll be a great crash test dummy for you because if I glaze over when you make this video, I'll let you know.
Well, are you coming down for the queen rearing class?
Yeah, I would like to.
Well, if you glaze over in the class, let me know.
I will, most definitely.
Why? What are you getting too much information?
Yeah, just if it, I mean, sometimes it comes in, you know, and is in a palatable format, you know what I mean? And sometimes it isn't. And even, you know, even Bob's, you know, Benny's video on how he does it all is a great video, but I don't know, I kind of glaze over partway through that. So
Yeah.
I get
Well,
intimidated by that.
Bob does. I have to sit there and loop it and loop it and loop it to
Yep.
pick. Every time you listen to it again, you'll
You
pick up
pick up
something that
another
you did-
piece.
another piece that you missed.
Yeah. I know one thing I'm going to do is sand my frames down like you had mentioned in yours, because I did have a bunch of burr comb all over the place.
Oh, you're talking about the width of the
Yeah.
graft frame?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yep.
I did that where I cut those
Down to
I
3/4
talked-
of an
to-
inch.
I think I talked to I talked to Ian about it, or actually I watched one of Ian's videos where he had a homemade frame and I was looking at the width of those shoulders, and he didn't really have shoulders. And that way those food frames are tight against that grafting frame, and that does make a difference.
Yeah, there's a couple people that have mentioned that out there, but it really, I watched yours here the other day, just scrolling through your stuff, and that's one that, you know, finally sunk in. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean it.
And
Sometimes
I got wooden bars, and I'm not sure if I shouldn't change to plastic bars. You know what I mean?
Oh, you're talking about the cup bars?
Yeah. Yeah.
I went to the JZ Beezy cup bars, the plastic ones. The reasoning why I did that was that the bees will glue them cups to the wooden ones pretty darn good. And I'm trying to take that cell off of there and put it in a cage. And I find that the plastic JZ Beezy bars are easier to just, you know, take off the cells
Well, I've had a bunch of cups fall out of those bars.
out of
You
the
know what I
wooden
mean?
bars.
Yep. Yep.
Yep.
And I
I've
try
had-
to line them up so that they, you know, they bite, but still I've had a couple that dropped out, and well, there it goes. You know what I mean?
Yep. I've had that happen too. And
Yeah,
it's,
I've had a few drop out. I don't know. Some people talk about if you had, you know, if they have it in a like old Fat Bee Man, he used to spread a little bit of liquid wax on there and then put his cups in and kind of glue them in, which worked.
Well, I did that to the end of the wooden bars too, so that they fit tighter in the portion of the frame dropping down there, the frame bar that comes down. I put a little bit of wax on that because the bars would float around on me too. Now, I only did 3 rounds last year. You know what I mean? But
That's another thing on your frame bar. A lot of guys, I think Ian might do this. If you look at his, he doesn't say anything about it, but where you push the bars in that slot, they'll put a piece of wood on the back side of that thing or something where you can't push it all the way through so it doesn't fall out.
yeah.
Stuff like
Yeah.
that. When I'm
Yeah, I just knotted some wax down in where the bar kind of settles down in, you know, just to make it sticky enough that thing didn't float as easy as it could. You know, you could turn it around without the bars falling out of it.
right.
Hey, Charlie, I'm gonna get off of here. I mean, the conversation's riveting, but I am falling asleep.
I don't want the pigs to carry you off, Phil.
I was up at like 4:30 this morning and been going nonstop ever since.
Yeah, you'll be falling asleep here in a couple of minutes, and an armadillo will crawl right up in your lap.
yeah, and that skunk will be there on that plate eating that
Cleaning up
rest of
dinner.
that cornbread.
That's right. All right, fellas. Good night. Enjoyed
Good
it.
night.
I'll probably listen until I fall asleep.
All right, see you.
All right, bye.
I had to get up for a second and move that bionic knee.
Charlie, you need if he's going to listen till he sleeps, you need to have some little bee buzzing in the background here to help drift him off,
help him
right?
go to sleep.
But let's see what else I was going to tell you.
I had a blast playing with trying to do 3 rounds late. I mean, I lost a big part of my summer over some family stuff that was going on, but the prime time to do it. But I just decided to jump in, and I had a blast, and I made a dozen queens that I feel kind of special about.
Yeah. Hey, but
Yeah,
you had success. That was the main thing.
Yep.
That's 12 more queens that you didn't have, and you didn't have to pay for them.
Yep. There's
That's
another $400, right?
Whatever. I mean, I started 3 years ago, and I had one time I had 100% acceptance rate.
Wow.
And nice, pretty good, pretty nice looking cells. And I mean, I started out where I left those cells in that frame in the cell builder for the full amount of time before about 2 days before they hatched, before I put them in mating boxes. The problem with that is they'll put webbing in between the two. And I had that problem, and I had a X-Acto knife, and I'm sitting there sawing the darn suckers apart. And then you would break one. And I'm like, you know what? I just spent all these amount of days, weeks in order to get that. And because of this stupid wax webbing in between. So that's when I said, okay, it's time to get an incubator. Get these cells out of here as soon as they're capped. Put them in the incubator. You have more control.
7 days or 10 days?
What's that? Oh,
to pull the queen cells and put them in an incubator. They talk about
4
the
days.
Got to finish
6.
6,
4.
4, 6,
it
7,
depends
12.
on how you count it. And I used to get confused about there's 9 days before they cap and all that stuff. Well, they count the first 3.5 days.
Yes.
Well, that's going from the egg until it hatches into a larvae. Who cares?
Yeah, all that does is confuse you.
4 days.
Yeah.
Because you're not looking at an egg. You can't sit there and tell me, well, that egg's only been there for an hour. I tried that damn thing. It don't work.
Your
So
account
you go in
starts
there
the day
and
you
you
grab.
Day number 1 is the day I grab.
Yeah.
Day 8.5. Day I graft. Yeah. So 4 days later to the 5th day, I'll pull that frame out.
Well, day number 1 is grafting day. And
Day number 1 is the day you graft.
And
we wait 5 to 7 days after we graft before we ever check cells. So now when we check cells, we're between day 5 and 7. That'll tell you how many have taken on that frame. And then you come back because the queen bee hatches out in how many days?
15.
16 days.
14 to 16 days.
15 to 16.
So we come back on day 12 and pull the cells and either put them in the mating nut to finish out, or we put them in an incubator to hatch with a curler. And when they hatch, they go in a mating nut to go out on a mating flight.
One of the things I didn't realize was, and again, this was 3 rounds of me just starting to do this. I didn't realize. I think I was pulling larvae out. That there was probably a little bit of difference in. So I ended up that I had stuff hatching. Some hatching this day, some hatching the next day, and some hatching the 3rd day almost. You know what I mean? Just in the variation of the size of the larvae I was trying to pick up. I might have picked up a couple bigger ones. Well, they ended up hatching 2 days earlier than the rest of them. You know what I mean?
Right.
So there was a lot to learn.
5-day or 2-day-old larvae.
Brian from Castle Highs, what are we talking about here? I care, Charlie.
Charlie, don't try to destroy my feelings.
I don't get
We
that.
can step on your one
I don't
feeling.
get that.
I don't know what he's talking about.
Yeah,
But
hopefully.
Bill, I almost always pull my frames the 4th to 5th day because they're almost all of them will be capped at that 8.5 day of the egg, the larvae, and that way they don't get all the webbing in your grafting frame.
Well, my question is, if you pulled them, and I'm just gonna, Tom,
They're
I'm gonna
capped.
use your words. They're capped at 5 days. If
gotta
you
buy
pull them out and put them in an incubator, are they still so fragile, even though they're capped, that by
Oh,
moving
yeah.
them, you're gonna mess them
Oh,
up?
they're fragile. You have to make
Yeah.
sure you keep them in that position, and you got to be very gentle.
They can't
But
take
the-
anything.
You
Yeah.
can't
They
turn them
can't take
over. You
anything.
can't drop them. They have to stay in the same position, oriented with the end of the cell downward.
Yeah.
So that's why those curlers have a flat spot on the bottom of them to stand in the incubator, and a lot of the incubators have a holder for that curler. So when you are moving them from taking them out of the hive and putting them in that curler in that holder and moving them from the table to the incubator, you don't turn any of them over, because if you turn one over, you've killed them.
Well,
Yeah.
trying to put the rubber on the road with the Demaree split deal, going back in there at day 7, and me trying to salvage any queen cells out of that, which I'm not sure that makes a whole lot of sound sense. But if I try and do that at 7 days, I probably have to be as careful if I'm trying to get them. I
7
can't.
too, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
You got
Up
to wait.
until it
probably
10
leaves
days
that-
is where you really want to be, right? To pull them out.
Well, I used to have a
After you
thing.
graft the 9th to 10th day, you can take them out. They'll be day 13, 14. Then,
or you can pull
then
them
they're,
on day
they're
12,
fully,
11,
they're fully
12.
grown.
They're fully grown at day 11, 12, and they're just waiting for their wings to finish developing so they can hatch out.
Okay.
Right. And that's when people who does it for a living, that's when they ship them after on day 13, basically.
Yeah, the day
Day
they hatch,
13
they
to
ship.
14.
Yep, the day they hatch, they ship.
Yeah, I had a dial here for all that stuff, and
Oh, I have one here somewhere that I was using that I was.
there's one that
I-
Man League has, but them sucker, they want $29 for that thing, and I said that's just ridiculous.
Well, even the one I got was $6 or $8. I was like, wow.
I have one.
I'll have to see if I can find ours, because I think we threw it away because we used our calendar, and we mark the calendar, and that's how we do it.
Yeah, but it was what I was going to get at it with is the fact that
There
Well,
you
the
go.
spin dial matches up.
it
to the
says
days of the month.
between this day and this day, you don't want to mess with them at all
Yeah.
during
Right.
the development stage.
Yep.
And see this like Tom talks about day 9, and that confuses the hell out of me.
Yep.
And that's where I say day 1 is the day that you grafted. That's the day you also put it in the cell builder. 6 days later, they should be capped. That
Yep.
day, that is the day that I like Bill says, there he is. Here's the here comes
There
the
it
sales pitch.
Yeah, I have a bigger one that's got a little
The
bit more
salesman.
details on it, but it's the same thing.
I'm trying to
We've
give
got
you a plug,
one.
Brian.
We've got
I'm
one that
editing-
has an outer
I'm
circle
editing a
number
PowerPoint, or else I'd stay on here.
and an inner circle numbers, and it,
Why,
it
don't
gets
you like
really
favorites,
confusing.
Brian?
So we just threw it away. We use a calendar.
Don't I like what?
I
So
said,
which
you said
feeling
you
were we talking
got
about?
a
Brian?
PowerPoint you would stay on here. I said, don't you like hanging with us?
No,
On the
I've been
video?
sitting here listening for the last, I don't know, however long, and you guys
Yeah, I
are
know you've
talking
been.
about this, and I'm like, well, heck, I'm just going to go walk over to my shelf and grab my little dial here, and
Yeah, bring out a thing.
And-
There we go.
There
I'm going to
you
be a
go.
salesman here. See, look at that, and it's even red, white, and blue
Yeah.
for America.
America. What do they get for that?
I make these. They're
$38.
$12.50.
Hold it back up, Brian.
It's
Yeah,
the
see,
queen-
that's got the outer ring of numbers on it. Now, ours has a ring of numbers on the inside where your wheel is that
Yeah.
shows you the number of days for each stage.
Oh, okay, yeah. I mean, this you basically just turn it. Like, I don't even know what the date.
Put it on. Today's the 17th.
The 17th. So if
Yes.
you would graft today, there you go. And then the DND that's on there is do not disturb.
Yep.
So do not disturb pupa emerging, she's in mating flights, and then you got hopefully you're going to have
Laying.
eggs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
So that's a
Cool.
whole cycle of 30 or 31 days.
yeah, we
Yeah,
go
that matches a
by,
month, right?
what do we have on here? We go by 31 days on
Yeah.
ours. So, yeah, I got a whole stack of these over here. So, we're always busy right after Nabby.
$2 a piece,
I wonder why.
Brian.
Well, we signed we got a dealer down in Texas. They'll have them, and then Hitch Hive Honey is going to have some. The Summers family. So Greg had some of these too, and we got a couple other phone calls this week.
Well, see, now you need a Virginia representative, which is Bill.
Yeah, there you go. Stocking distributor.
See,
Yeah. How much
Yeah.
are they holding?
these things here are good though. I mean, just even if you're not raising queens, these things are handy just so that people understand the cycle.
Yeah.
And that's what people don't understand. Even in it, like clubs, if they're like, "Oh, well, we're not doing queens," and it's like, well, but it still explains the cycle for you.
Yes.
So that's what people don't understand, and hopefully we get more clubs that buy into this, because it would help out new beekeepers so that they know, well, when they look in there now, if they do see a capped cell, I mean, it's pretty much like a guesstimate, but at least it would kind of give them an idea. Okay, well, I need to leave it alone and come back on this date, but that's my rant. That's my sale.
It's cool.
Do you list them
Very
on your
cool.
website, Brian?
Huh?
Do you list them on your website?
They are on, I'll throw it in, it's Queenright Dial. So if you just look that up, it's queenrightdial.com.
Okay.
I'll put that in the private chat. Yeah, it's right in the private chat. And if you go on our catalog, it's on the adapters and gadgets page. Now, the pictures that are on there actually need updated because I kind of tweaked it, because if you look on the website and it has single mating indicator with pod, I kind of tweaked. See how like the top dial is a little beveled in now?
Yep.
So it's easier to read all the numbers. I tried to keep it small, but I tweaked a couple little things on the design, and the one that's on there is 3 pieces. This one here is 2. I kind of tweaked it so that it weighs a little bit less, still functional, and you can read everything a lot. It's a lot cleaner. So, but yeah, it's a handy little tool, So
I'll give you a call tomorrow. Or Monday, excuse me.
yeah, okay. Do you
I'm
have
gonna
my
go by
Do you have my info?
well, I'm on your page right now.
Okay. I just put my cell in the private chat. Yeah, just take it from the private chat, and then just, if I don't answer, I got I might be in work meetings and that. Just leave me a message, or I mean, you could even shoot me a text message if I don't answer. Just tell me, hey, it's Bill, whatever. I left you a message, and then I can call you back when I'm done with my work meeting.
All right. I'll give you a call Monday or Tuesday. All right?
Awesome.
You got that.
I'm going to go back to editing my PowerPoint and listening to you guys over here.
Okay.
Tom, you take care, buddy. Bill, I'll talk
See
to
you,
you.
Brian.
Thanks for coming in, man.
Yeah, yeah. No, you guys were talking about that, and I'm like, man, I got these things sitting right here. You know, and before I take off though, like we made these. I mean, you see the size of it. I walked around with one of these in my pocket the whole time I was at Nabby. And you know, you've got all them other ones, they're on them big sheets and all that stuff. This thing here, you throw it in your pocket. I didn't even know at one point I had 2 of these in my one pocket. I just kept picking them up at the booth. And Jason was walking around. He said, "Did you see my black pod?" I said, "I don't know." And I reached my pocket here. I had 2 of them in my pocket. So they're, you know, they're light, they're functional, easy to use. So, but DC, what's up, man? But yeah, I'm gonna take off. I got to keep. I got a busy weekend, and I'm going to a bee club on Sunday that they got me talking for a little bit. So I got to get my final little tweaks on a PowerPoint done. And because tomorrow I'm going to be all day, I'm going to be busy. So no time to do it tomorrow. But I will talk to y'all.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll
Thank
keep
you.
Yeah. Yeah. Y'all have a good one.
Yep. There you go, Charlie. There's all your answers right there
What's that?
on that dial. That's all of his answers right there.
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, like I say, with me, what do you call it? You know, I have a dial here someplace that I had. It was printed out and whatever. But I can't find it now. But what I was getting at is that I kind of figured it out myself. The way I do it is day one's the day I graft. That's the day I go into the cell builder.
Yep.
6 days, and then day 6 is when I pull that frames out, and I, like you say, be very gentle.
Yep.
Take them, you know, I hold that thing. I don't let it bounce or anything else. Take it to my incubator, put the cells in the curlers, and of course, those are in this little cage thing. Put it in there. And then I can't sit here and tell you what it is right now, but marks the days out. And then after that, you know, I like I say, sometimes when I first started out doing cells, I took and sold cells. Then people will say, well, they didn't do this or this problem, that problem, whatever. And I said, okay, no more cells. And then I started doing virgins. And what was nice about the virgins was in the incubator, it's accessibility. All I had to do was put those virgins in a cage. Here's your queen, your virgin. Take her home and let her walk into your, you know, to sell virgins. And then after a while, then I, you know, and I also take the virgins out to two frame mating boxes and stuff like that, and do it then and all. But my biggest problem is having a good way of setting up that cell builder, making sure I got it set up right, making sure I got the right amount of bees in that thing, and having all that in place and knowing what I'm looking at. That's why I want to come to your class and go from there, type of thing, and all that. But
yeah, you will definitely get your hands on on the bees and setting up a cell builder that day?
Well, just the procedure on, okay, this is how we're going to set it up,
Yep.
that kind of thing. And that kind of stuff, getting the procedure down in my mind. Yeah. So, the heck's all this click clacking?
That's why we call him Popcorn Charlie. the
Nah, it's-
virgin. Going south really quick.
so anyway, that's my plans when it comes to all that stuff. Like if I can, I got, like I say, when it comes to grafting, I got that down pretty good. I know how to do that. It's like we were talking about Chinese grafting tools. Well, Kent Williams showed us how to test it. And that's using your thumb. Where you bring that tool down, and when that tongue hits your thumb nail, if it don't slide across your bend and slide across real gentle like, then it's too thick, too hard, where as far as it would poke through, let's say, drawn wax or something like that.
Yeah.
And that kind of thing.
That's when you got to go to work on them.
That's when you got to thin it down and all that stuff. And, little tips and tricks like that. And I think the first couple years, 2 or 3 years, first year or two, I'm going to say that I lucked out getting the right amount of bees in a nuke at that time. And it all worked out for me. And then the latter couple of years, I think what it amounted to was I just tried to do it in April. And it was just like I was telling Will there, hot during the day and cold at night, and I didn't have enough bees in there to cluster around. It was too cold. I thought about using that license hive. Then when I started trying to put it just didn't work out. It's about feeding and all that stuff.
Charlie, when you graft the first time in early spring, the bees don't know how to make queen cells, or they need practice, or they're not good in getting the wax out of their abdomens yet. And you're only going to get half the cells made that you grafted. So if you try to do 30 cells, you'll be lucky to get 15 that first time.
Yeah. Well, my biggest problem the last time I grafted, and that's been a couple of years ago, is the fact that the weather, it was too early and the weather was it was a one extreme to the other extreme. Daytime hot, nighttime super cold. And like I don't know, Bill, what do you think about this? If it should be 50 degrees at night, no less than 50 degrees.
At least.
Or 60.
Minimum 50 degrees at night. Because they will cluster back at night in the early spring. And they will protect that brood. And if there's queen cells there, they will protect those queen cells.
If you got enough bees in there.
Yeah. If you got enough bees in there, if you got the right number of bees, you shouldn't have any worries. Because we start grafting around the 10th of April.
And I'm using the 1st of April. But yeah. Plus end of March, end of April, plus or minus 2 or 3 days. Depending if we got an early spring or a regular spring or late spring.
Kind of boils down to, it all depends on climate,
Mother Nature.
the weather at the time.
Yep.
Yep.
It's all weather dependent.
Well, Charlie, that's kind of the same thing on the Demaree split, right? You don't want to do it too early. That's the biggest failures if you leave that queen and a frame of capped brood down on the bottom and pull everybody else up.
Well, see, I don't do it that way.
Oh, don't you?
I do it.
Okay.
I do
You've
it.
got
The
foragers. You've got foragers that are out that will come back in to that bottom box.
Yep.
So you're not losing all your bees down there with the queen.
I do it more of a, what did they call that? Roving? No,
Rolling.
rolling
Yeah,
Demaree.
Rolling.
A
Okay.
rolling. I'm more of a rolling Demaree. That's the one I kind of figured out myself. There's a Chester County Bee Club up here in Pennsylvania. They were big on that, and Keith Jardine was out of South Africa, and that's all he ever did. And
Yeah.
like you said, he would sit there. Of course, he's got that British accent, which is hard for me to understand. And he's sitting there talking about, and he's going through it. And I'm like, whoa, slow down, slow. I can't grasp all this information at one time and all that. And Bill, did you see Roy's question? Roy wants you to send him a quote. Mark Miller says, what temperature does bees make wax? I'm not really sure.
That's a good question.
I don't know. Mark Miller does a ton of
Well, 50.
queens and stuff out there. All that stuff. But
So when you say you do it different, Charlie, do you leave 2 frames of cap brood down in that bottom box with the queen?
I leave everything down in that two. If it's 2 mediums, I'm leaving everything down there. The queen, everything down there. And anything I'm pulling out is cap brood. I'll say try to get 100% cap brood.
Well, isn't that the opposite of what? Don't they talk about leaving the cap brood down and pulling everything else up?
No, what they did, I think Bill can explain it better than me, but basically you leave the queen with 2 frames of brood down there and maybe a frame of food, and everything else is wide open, drawn wax.
Drawn comb, right.
Drawn comb.
So she
And
can
then
fill it
then
up.
you move everything up on top of the stack from in the bottom and do it that way. And then
Okay, but
that's
I was
where
seeing that you left 2 frames of cap, or at least one frame of good capped, turn the darker brown brood down with her. Merging. And then you pull all the other eggs, open larvae, milk brood, whatever up.
Yeah, the way you do it is you take that bottom box, take all the frames out and put in another box.
Yep.
Set that to the side after you found the queen. You take 2 frames of brood of all stages with the nurse bees on it.
Yep.
Put down in the bottom box. The queen's in there. You're going to have the foragers are going to always be returning even while you're doing the split.
And
They're
drawn
gonna be
comb
in
down
out.
there.
And there's
A little bit of
drawn comb
food.
down there. All right. A frame of nectar and a frame of pollen. Because they got to have that to feed the brood.
Yep.
Okay. Queen excluder.
Yep.
Now
2 supers.
last year I put 4 supers on, another queen excluder, and the old brood box. Came back 7 days later. Pulled the old brood box off the top. I checked every frame, top to bottom, nooks and crannies, even went over it with a flashlight looking for queen cells.
Yep.
I killed 38 queen cells in that box.
And part of that is having 4 supers in between. That really makes them feel,
Yeah, that really makes them feel separated because they can't get that queen pheromone from the bottom. But the reason you want a queen excluder on the top, because if you miss a queen cell, then you've got a split hive. Now you've got to find that queen upstairs.
Yep.
And either move her or crush her. Okay. Now, once all those nurse bees start hatching out up there, they backfill it with honey.
Yep.
It doesn't have to be 4 supers Flower Street.
No.
That's-
They
No,
talk
Flower
too.
Street
The
asked
core
questions.
sounds awesome.
It is. And they backfilled it from top down to the brood box.
Yep. They'll work from the top down.
Yep.
And
So
you got a huge population because in the meanwhile, she went crazy down below.
yes, she did because she thought she was alone.
Yep.
So she needed to repopulate the hive.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden, all these nurse bees come back down. And when they come back down, some of them are workers. So they start working. So now you've got all these nurse bees turning into workers. And they've got something to do. They start at the top and backfill down. Now you can get away with just starting with 2 supers in the middle. But you got to
That's
have
what I
that
was looking at.
separation because of the queen pheromone.
Yeah. 2
So you
supers
can
is
use
enough.
2 supers.
Yeah.
So, and then as they fill those 2, then you add another one. They fill that one, you can add another one. But you got to remember, you got that top box full of honey, and that thing's heavy.
Yep.
So, it is what it is.
I mean, that's
And-
what I'm going to take a group of hives and do that to them this year instead
Yeah.
of doing what I normally do. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So Flower Street, it's 4. You can use 2, you can use 3, you can use 4. It's whatever. I did 4 last year as an experiment to see if they were gonna do it, and they did it. And yes, you start this at the beginning of the flow. This is one of the first splits you'll do of the year. And it also gives them a sense they've swarmed.
Yeah.
Right. That's the best benefit.
That's the best
Yeah.
part of it.
That is the best benefit. Now, you've got 4 supers on this hive plus the deep. Okay, at the top, and it's all full of honey. Guess what else it's full of? Bees. So now you've got late season splits. Because you can't knock that thing down to 2 or 3 boxes and accommodate all those bees.
So you just pull them off and split them.
You pull them off and split them.
Right.
And you
You're
do
gonna-
that before they put the honey in, or
After when you do these splits when you tear it down and harvest honey. That's when you do these late season splits with it. So you got to have all that equipment ready to go, and you got to have queens ready to go for them.
so do you ever when this process is going and that whole top box hatches out and they start putting honey up there, do you ever go back into the bottom? I'm going to say
Never.
now it's the brood box and
Nope.
pull more brood up and keep
Nope.
doing that. That's kind of that rolling thing.
That's what Charlie does. He does that rolling Demaree.
Yep.
We don't do that much work with it.
Yeah, it's a lot of work.
Basically, once you do that original pull out, we don't ever go back to the bottom box again.
Okay.
Because she will not become honey bound, because now it's a single box, single brood chamber management down there,
Yep.
and the rest of it is honey.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
definitely going to take some of my hives and try that way with it.
I want to
Versus
try to do
What I
what
was
Bill's,
doing.
what Bill's
Yeah.
doing this year, maybe.
Yeah. And Will, they've done studies after studies that a queenless hive will make more honey than a queen right hive.
Yes, they will. Now,
I had
DC, you made a good statement there, DC. They have to have active wax builders. We try to make sure that every box has at least 5 frames of drawn comb in it. Or if we can get 9, we put 9 in.
Bill, say that again.
We try to make sure that all the supers that are in between have at least 5 frames of drawn comb.
Yeah. Yep.
You got to have the drawn comb. You can't.
You can't
And
depend on them to draw all that comb, because then they won't make any honey. They make that much honey.
Oh, right. If you don't have drawn comb, you're going to be handicapped. For sure.
Well, there were some other folks that were trying to do it to where they were putting in a couple frames of comb, and then it was foundation on the bottom, and it just failed basically.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, it failed. It's going to fail.
I mean, you might
Yeah.
put two frames down, frames of foundation in the bottom, but you want most of that to be drawn that she can just jump in. They can clean it up. She can jump in and lay.
Jump in and start laying.
Yep.
Yes.
Right.
You want her to lay. But now
Yeah.
my question is population wise, you got to have enough worker bees down there, heater bees, to be able to cover that brood up to keep it warm.
Yep.
That's why you don't.
And that's
take
all
any-
with the timing of when you
off
do
those
that.
nurse bees off those original 2 frames. You don't shake them off.
Yep.
You leave that brood covered with those nurse bees and put it in the bottom with her,
Right.
right in the middle of the hive. So this is one of the big splits that we're going to cover in the class.
What, in the splits class, Bill?
Yep, in the splits class. And the splits class is going to be videoed, so I can cut it up and play it back on YouTube.
All right, guys, I'm going to hop off.
Yeah, it's getting close to that time.
Yep.
Yeah, 10:30.
So you're going to cover on the splits class on how to do the Demaree then?
Yep, we're going to do 4 splits. We're going to do introduce, walk away, tear a knob, and Demaree.
So you're using the Demaree to make a split instead of just making honey, I'll say.
Or make them
No,
both.
well, it's a false swarm, is what it is. The bees think they swarm because you got workers that are out gathering. They're not there, and when they come back to an almost empty hive, and they think they swarm.
Maybe I need to drive to the splits class.
Should we ride together on that, Charlie? I don't know if that makes any sense or not.
Yeah, because you're coming from, what is it, York?
Yeah.
How far? Let's see. Let's see.
I'm probably half hour, 45 minutes down to you.
Yeah, but I'm thinking you got to get to 81, and Harrisburg is how far from, you're how far?
I can catch 81 quick, but it'd be higher than you'd be coming across. Or do you come up?
No, what I normally do is I go across over to
You go
Virginia
across
to
seven.
Harper's Ferry
Oh,
and
okay.
go over to Winchester and do it that way. I'm about 2.5 to 3 hours from Bill.
Yeah.
And all. You'd be coming down from Harrisburg. You'd be coming down 81 and crossing over 70 at Hagerstown and all that.
Yeah, I
He's
didn't know
actually-
if it would be
He's
further out.
actually closer to me than you are, Charlie.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. Because
Never
I
mind.
can be in Carlisle in under 2 hours.
Okay. And I'm a half hour out of Carlisle.
Yeah.
2.5 hours. So it's about, you're kind of coming same way.
Yeah, I'm kind of going. Shh.
Yeah. All right. Well, Brian's checking out.
Yeah.
I'm going to go ahead and shut the chat down. Everybody's just chilling out. 69 people on now. We were up at 105 at one time tonight, which
Is that a
Pretty-
good number?
Yeah.
that's higher than not. Normally I average on 80 to, maybe 90. Tonight was over 105. And that was really nice number.
We talked a lot of bees tonight.
Well, we
What
get
it's
a
all
lot of
about.
people on here.
Meetings.
That's what makes this chat good. Is you got to get the people, I'll say, on the screen, and then you got the ones that are hanging on the outside there. Like Brian there was working on his computer and stuff, and then he popped in, and
That was cool.
it
Yeah.
makes it interesting.
It
Right.
does. It makes it really interesting.
Just like
Well,
I had
it's just a good chat, all around good chat. All right, I'm
I
gonna go
had-
ahead and end the stream down. Everybody, I will see you next Friday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Well, I'll also see you hopefully on Bill's channel, Bees All Day on Monday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and all that good stuff. So here we go. We're gonna end it. We'll see you next time.
Don't forget to
See ya.
smash the